The coating durability test puts XS through a cycle of 10,000 strums. Through the lens of a microscope, it is clear that XS retains its composition better than other coated strings. Testing complete.
Hey, I'm John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. We're at the Brooklyn Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm with Theo Katzman. Theo, hey man.
What's up, John?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, what a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Love your work, and I love this guitar, which I've seen.
Yeah.
This is like the one, right?
It's totally the one. I got this guitar when I was 16.
What a lucky kid.
I know. It's a 62 reissue Strat. Contemporary or whatever, off the line production. But I was 16 in probably the year 2000.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is like some special old school Strat, but it used to be Sherwood green, which was this like glued on intense finish that I started noticing over the years after getting beat up. It kept getting knocks on it, and then I'm like, wait a second, there's this beautiful wood under there. So I just stripped it off one day. And put a true oil finish on it, and
I love it because it actually makes it look like a 62, man. I mean, because most of them went through that.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't know if it seems like it sounds better even with having it without the finish. I don't know if I'm crazy. But it's a beautiful Strat. It's not like the strattiest Strat in the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like it has its own thing.
Well, have you made, other than the finish, have you done any other alterations to it?
Well, why don't we jump into the first thing that's new on this is this backplate here.
What's that all
This
about?
is an Ilitch electronics backplate. This guy makes these in California, and it is. I don't even really know how it's working. I think it's like an extra coil maybe, and it cuts the hum.
Your team is giving thumbs up. Yeah.
But apparently it cuts down the hum on the Strat. But I can tell you that it really works, and I feel like since I put it in right before this tour, and now the sound of the guitar, I think because there's like not buzz at every particular or every possible volume, it's like. The whole sound of it is much better and more beautiful, and I used to play a lot on the middle pickup, which I still love, but this neck pickup now just sounds so clean and beautiful to me. Yeah.
So sorry about that cameo. That's my daughter. It's bring your daughter to work.
Yes, it is.
By the way, she loves your work.
Oh man, thank you, Betty.
Okay, so are these true single coils in the guitar?
Yeah, they are. This is just the stock Strat, but
because there is no 60 cycle hum.
Yeah, it's totally, and even if you step on it, Yeah. There's no.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it feels to me like you can get the clean. The guitar is just speaking better. There's not. I think a lot of what used to not sound as good to me, I feel like might have just been that hum as it gets louder. You're trying to like, or you're like, oh, I'm gonna put it, on one of these,
right?
Try to cut that out a bit. But
and you're right. That middle pickup is such a great tone. I think that's where Bonnie Raitt lives most of the time.
Man, that's cool to hear.
Yeah.
That makes sense actually. That sounds about right. I love that pickup. I guess I'm like, oh, is that too nerdy? But then I'm like, what are we talking about? That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, trust me. Can't get too nerdy for this bunch.
My friend Corey Wong made a whole thing about this position, and it's like, he's like, arguing like, okay, well, you know what? Middle position.
He's pretty comfortable with nerddom.
I know, I love it. But I do like, I like each position for different reasons. And actually, now that I have this hum cancel too, I'm using a lot of this bridge pickup is speaking better too. I feel like the whole guitar is speaking better in each pickup.
Yeah, and it's funny that 60 cycle thing isn't that apparent until you get into kind of nuance. And then, like that note you held out there.
Yeah.
If you had that with it as it fades away, that the hum just gets louder.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah.
What's the thing called again?
Ilitch. I believe it's Illitch.
Okay.
Unless there's one L.
it's you know what? There'll be some notes. You can read it in the notes.
It was a couple $100, and I think very much worth it. I was very scared initially. I'm scared of doing anything to this that's like going to change it.
Yeah.
And my tech was like, no, man. I think if anything, you're probably gonna like the way it sounds better. He's done it for a couple other clients, and yeah, I was like, wow, I love the way it sounds.
Okay, that's great. That's great. What strings are you running?
I use D'Addario, the NYXLs 10s.
Yeah, they're great.
I love those strings.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are, you know, I like on an electric, on the Strat, I like new strings, I like old strings,
Yeah, sure.
which is cool. I like them when they get a little, you know, a little old.
Yeah.
But then I usually break one, and then every time. But I notice every time I put a fresh set of those on, I'm like, yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, and they last a long time.
Yeah, those are great.
Okay, so this is number one, and
yeah,
I see you play. It seems mostly with your fingers, but you're going to pick some of the time.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to figure this out, you guys. I don't know if anyone has any advice, but yeah, there's things I can do with a pick. You know, I feel like I can really get into the articulation much more exact.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's just a matter of like you got to practice more with a pick. Probably. But I feel like I'm a little bit in a middle zone. My friend Mason Stoops, you guys know Mason Stoops? Mason actually put this pedal board together for me, so
that's a good friend.
Thank you, Mason. He is committed fully to the Fingerstyle, and it's like, I'm always talking about, I'm like, man, I feel like I need to just jump off that cliff and dive into that. And he's like, yeah, man. You know, but I'm like, but then as you know, sometimes I want to be like, you know what I mean? And that's pick territory.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So, okay, Mom, I'll practice more. You know what I mean?
That's great. Okay, so that's number one, clearly, but you carry a couple others. What do you got over here?
All right, I'm going to have to thank Mason again because Mason is Captain Telecaster, and I asked him to help me find a Tele. So he's just going through reverb.com, you know, and sending me listings. And he sent me this one, which is just a parts guitar, no name on the headstock. It came in the mail. It was $800, which I feel like is pretty reasonable.
Sure.
I tuned it up from completely slack, and it rules. And I haven't even changed the strings once, and I love this. Yeah.
And you have no other details other than...
Correct. Other than these are the TV Jones. They're humbuckers, but they're apparently like output-wise closer to single coils.
Oh.
They're not like super hot.
So you have to adjust your amps.
Exactly, which I was having a problem with humbuckers where, you know, obviously the output difference with the pedals kind of changes how you would set the pedals up. I keep this in open E flat, which is a tuning I use a lot for songs, you know, in that register in my voice.
Sure.
I got things in B flat and whatever that work well on that. And then this one, another parts. Actually, this is a Japan 62.
Oh, okay.
Reissue.
Yeah.
Like this, but one of the made in Japan. And then I got this crazy neck. Feel this thing.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That is extreme.
This is a Mike Cornwall neck. Los Angeles legend.
Yeah.
Introduced to me by Mason again, and he builds these. He built this neck by hand, and it just carved it out. It's got a crazy V shape. I don't know if you can see how intense that is.
Yeah, I would think that would be an awkward adjustment
because that is amazing. Yeah, so I love it.
First thing ever, you're like, whoa.
And this one I keep in open D and play slide on it, and yeah, for me, like, you know, a lot of this is a songwriting stuff in terms of where the tunings are, and so depending on the song, that's why I have 3.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you break a string, not if, when you don't have a backup for it.
I don't.
So what do you mean to say? Hold on a second.
You know what I've done in the past? I have a tech with me on this tour, Mr. Cheeks. Thank you, Mr. Cheeks. So Mr. Cheeks is gonna, you know, I'm like, give him the guitar, and then I pick one of those up and just play it even though it's in a different tuning.
Sure.
I can kind of play.
Yeah.
I know the song.
Yeah.
I can play it in the other.
Although kind of a tough adjustment on the fly, right?
Yeah, I have to think about it for a second.
Yeah.
But so far it's only happened once, and
Good.
we got through it. By the
Okay.
end of the song, I was just kind of like, and he's like, yep. I'm like, wow, this having a tech thing is great.
I was like, okay, you got 3 minutes
Yeah.
to change the string.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well. Okay. So, 3 guitars.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your 2 amps.
Yeah, totally. The 2 amps. So the 2 amps I have are the Benson Nathan Jr.,
Okay.
which is a 5-watt amp, and run that one. You can get I love that thing.
5 watts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's really powerful. Like you can actually get some good volume out of it, and actually it's got like good low end too.
Huh.
Which I feel like is, versus
kind of a
like
compromise, right?
If you were to have like a Kalamazoo, which is a great vintage amp, those don't really have. That's just like a one amazing
Sure,
sound, but
yeah.
like a little less versatile, perhaps. But the Nathan Jr. is amazing, and then I have an old Princeton.
Yeah.
It's the first year they made the silver face.
Okay. So essentially, it's a black face in silver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then.
And it looks like you have a Celestion in that.
I do. For whatever reason, that amp, when I got it, it had a 12-inch speaker in it.
Yeah.
So.
Was it lucky mod? Good for you.
Yeah, it was like sounded great to me,
Yeah.
and put a Celestion in it. So I have those both going right now. So we're running in stereo, which has been a dream for a long time.
Oh,
I just like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Do I need to do it? Maybe not. Am I doing it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I have time-based effects,
show.
yeah, it's my
You
show.
can do whatever you
It's my
want,
show.
man.
I want to be in stereo.
Yeah.
I tell Nick at front of house, I'm like, even if you have to mute this, and I can just hear it in my ears, that's okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, but the 2 amps is great, and especially for time-based effects,
Which is a perfect segue.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and talk about these effects.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so why don't we start with turning everything off?
Okay, so you.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your approach to pedals?
Yeah, okay. So when I went in with Mason, I had a bunch of questions like, since we know each other well and have played over the years, he's heard me play a lot. It's like, my thing, Mason. What do I need? It was kind of where we started, and I basically said I want to have something that sounds great in a kind of always-on capacity, because most of what I'm doing, if like I keep playing the introduction to that song, Plain Jane Heroin, oh yeah, all the pedals are off. But if I'm doing a thing where I'm really chordal mostly, then I need to just have that sound good the whole time,
Sure.
And then so really what I wanted was like an always-on setup with a little bit of hair that would be responsive to my volume on the guitar, and then a boost.
Yeah.
Like pretty much straight up this tone, but louder.
Sure.
Versus this tone, but with more distortion.
Yeah.
I don't actually really want that. A lot of times the always on has like the exact sound quality I want. I just need it louder. So Mason really helped me put that together. Let's start with the this pedal, the Protein. So right now we just got this.
Okay.
This is nothing. Actually, wait. This is nothing.
Okay, this is nothing.
This is with the Brown amplification Protein. Versus little hair.
Sure. But same voice.
Exactly,
but,
and it kind of opens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I put on the Benson Germanium boost. So with those two off, it's not just that it's quieter, it doesn't have as much, throughout the whole tonal spectrum, there isn't as much being lifted.
Sure.
So between those two, and then compression or no compression, I've always never used compression, and I partially it's just I always felt like it was too heavy-handed.
Yeah. And most of them are.
Yeah. So Mason pulled this one out, the Diamond compressor, which I just felt like it. Hold on a minute. Here's where it should be. I felt like it sounded better with it always on. So here's the kind of always on versus.
It just keeps getting better.
Yeah. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
So now, this thing, the Vintage Ensemble stereo is really dope. And once I heard this, I was like, man, I don't think I'm taking this off either.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, if I wanted to make this like very obvious, you know, but that's not really where I'm at. I'm at more of a subtle. But when you take that off, it's a bit more flat.
Sure.
So this is really bringing out the stereo-ness of the 2 amps. Is that on? Hold on. There it is. That. So that's the main, this is basically, that's the sound that I'm going to be playing tonight. Now, if I want to go crank into a solo, I have this Boss EQ that's been modified, and it's just like basically a volume boost. You know? To me, that sounds great, and that doesn't actually, if you take it from here, versus if I were to, let's say, throw on more like distortion from another side of this pedal, you know? That starts to get muddy in a way that I'm not really that into. I don't want this to feel like fuzz. I want it to feel like boost. And then you throw it on there and you can really hear the compression now. You know, I love that. Or this thing.
Oh yeah, that's
kind of sweet. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my main thing is that I do have the Flint Strymon here, which I'm using as a tremolo.
Oh yeah.
Which is just an amazing pedal.
Yeah, I love
this thing is great.
Boy, particularly in stereo like that. Oh.
I know,
man.
I know. It's really cool.
Sheesh.
So.
What a spread. That's great.
There's a place where I do that. That's a really useful pedal because you got the tremolo side and then you've got a verb side.
Yeah.
So you can get a lot done with that. Some people like to have the verb on their amp. I like to have a little verb on the Princeton. But it's really fun to have the 2 amps because, you know, the creamier of the 2 amps, you can kind of like set that as the wet with the wet side of the effects, and then you're kind of getting this interplay there, which is great. And then I got this Black Fountain Delay, which is a really awesome pedal. It's the by Old Blood Noise Endeavors, which it's like an oil can delay.
Oh, okay.
Very cool, but to be honest, I haven't been using it very much on this setup because I don't know, I was more of like not a delay guy right now in my phase. That was more of Mason. Mason was like, you're going to want some delay, and I was like, yeah, man.
He's right, someday.
Totally.
Someday.
The truth is, with how much, actually, let me say it a different way. The way we were approaching this was like, the delay was going to be a part of my always on, and this Vintage Ensemble was going to be a thing I was going to kick in for solos.
Yeah.
But I just fell in love with the sound of it, so now I'm never turning that off. So having like a verb, a delay, and a time-based stereo effect is kind of too much time-based stuff.
Sure.
So I've been relying mostly on the Vintage Ensemble, but I do love that delay.
Yeah, man.
I'm just not really using it right now.
What I really love about your setup is it's kind of like a voice, you know.
Cool.
When some people, like singers, they might have a more aggressive tone. Sometimes they might pull it back for a softer thing. And that's kind of what you're doing with your guitar. It's the same voice. Yeah. But maybe a little angrier, a little breathier, whatever.
Totally. And I like to have it, at least in my mix. I like to have I like to be able to, you know, if I'm there, I like to be able to. I play a lot with the volume, so I might be like, I'm gonna be doing that a lot.
Right. Yeah,
so
beautiful.
Yeah, and if something's a little too loud, like Nick, my front of house engineer, he's amazing, and we're always doing, you know, dynamic stuff, so he's very good at riding that. But I like to be able to have the control on my end too, you know, because the electric guitar, it's like the ceiling tonally between It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's as loud as it can get.
Yeah, right.
So you want to hit it twice as hard? Doesn't matter. Same sound. It just keeps getting, it just gets more like sort of squashed or fartier sounding if you hit it too hard. So there's really, it's not like drums, which are my first instrument, where you can just, if you want it harder, like you hit it harder, it'll be louder. It's very hard to get that to max out,
Speaking of that, as a multi-instrumentalist, how many instruments do you play in your own tours?
I'm playing 2 right now, keys and guitar.
Okay.
I do play drums as well, but not in this group. And just because I write the songs on guitar and piano.
Sure.
I'm newer to piano, but I've been spending most of the last couple years practicing it so that I could get up to functional speed.
Yeah.
But I love writing on it, and it's kind of like, it's a percussion instrument, turns out. It's drums with pitches. Everybody's told me that my whole life. Now I understand. So but really the guitar stuff for me, is really, it keeps coming back to like just having it sound great. And this is my favorite rig I've ever had, for sure. I really like that. Everything on here is great. The Brown amplification protein is really an amazing pedal. And this isn't really very loud right now in the room.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. So, are you guys? You're using just rock and roll wedges, not
actually?
ears?
I'm using in-ears.
Okay.
And I'm using a new kind of in-ears that is in development right now. This guy Stephen Ambrose is making these in-ears called Adels, A-D-E-L, and they're completely a game changer.
Oh, really?
Truly.
And you're out here doing the R&D.
Well, we're kind of in development right now, so I don't even know how much can talk about it. Too late. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Step of production. Yeah.
It's made a huge difference in my ability to hear myself enough to sing dynamically.
Yeah, great.
So again, with the guitar, it's like I just want this to be as pleasant sounding and like know where my dynamic ceiling is.
Yeah.
So that I can sing with the guitar, because I do a lot of that, like,
right.
I sing with what I play.
Yeah.
So I just need to have the guitar sound great, and this is the best it's ever sounded to me. I kind of want to turn the whole thing up and rip it because it's so good, but it's nice that it sounds good at a pleasant volume too. That's not going to rip anyone's head off. But I think when we get into the it's not even too loud, right? So anyway, fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Theo, this is great. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
I'm honored. I don't want to pretend like I'm a gear guru, because I'm not, but Mason is. Thank you, Mason Stoops, for helping me get to this point. I really love everything on here.
That's great.
And got a shout out to the Shure Wireless for letting me be able to,
right.
you want to be able to do that, because I do like to.
Right.
I like to do the crowd work.
You can play yourself on and off.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I used to do that. We'd be like, ba ba boom, and I'd be like, people like, where is he? And I'd walk on.
You're on the bus.
Yeah.
Sit down.
The problem is, it's harder to shred, like actually play and land what you're trying to go for when you're walking. At least that's a whole level of practice I need to, we were talking about this earlier, like you practice guitar a lot of times sitting down.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get to the gig and you're like, oh boy, it's like, where are they? I keep making these like mistakes because it's like, I need to practice standing up.
Stand up.
Practice standing up. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here, kids.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, till next time.
Thanks.